Oh, it's being recorded. I didn't do the pound. Okay. Oh, so we started. Sorry. I'm wondering if we could start all over again. Should we start all over again? Let's see. Hold on. Hi, everybody. We're going to start in a minute. We try to get Torah Anytime merged with this phone line. Okay, you got to let Dahlia know that you started and stopped and then started. Oh, okay. I'll try to take it now. I'm sorry, it's about my mom. No, I know. In the merit of you bringing this, and the day your mother has to go to the hospital, she should have a refuah shlema. Rachel Bas Hana. So I'm going to turn it on. Yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to pray that this class comes out the way I want it. It's been one of those weeks again, Baruch Hashem, but this time for good news, more and more good news. I am excited that Purim is coming. I'm excited that we have many other classes on the line so that we can go more and more in depth with the Purim Megillah. I actually took some insights from the Megillah by the Gutnick Library Jewish Classics that Rabbi Chaim Miller produced. And let's start. First of all, if you look in the beginning of the Megillah, hopefully by studying what we're going to study now, we'll have some things to think about as we're reading it. So it's not just hearing it and kind of looking at the words. And hopefully we will get some secret messages for our life. And then when we really knock on our sheets or our groggers, we'll even have more to celebrate. Please God. So if you look in the beginning of the Megillah, it's interesting. It talks a lot about this Achashverosh and all the details. And seemingly, who cares kind of details. Like, isn't it about the Jews or isn't it about, like, our victory over the wickedness? I guess you could say, like, if you look at the wickedness, then you can appreciate how much more the light and the goodness. But there is reasoning and inspiration that we can glean from that fact. So if you look at the word Achashverosh, it means, like, when you look at it and you try to separate the words, there's the word acharis, which means the end. And then it also has the word within it, reshis, which is the beginning. So Hashem is saying, like, King Achashverosh represents the king of all kings, believe it or not. And in a previous class, we had taught how the whole story of Esther approaching the king is ourself, the Jewish soul, approaching the king of all kings, Hashem. So I invite you to go to that class when we go that in depth about that. But here, we're just going to touch upon it a little bit, that this represents Hashem as there's nobody else but him, from the end all the way to the beginning. And when the details of all these nitty-gritty things about Achashverosh's kingdom, it also represents our life. That there's a lot of details that we got to get done. It's a lot of nitty-gritty, and we need to sleep, and we need to eat, and we need to fold the laundry again and again. And it's like, I really want to be like a Homo sapien. I want to be like the more intellectual, like just all day long thinking great stuff and thinking great concepts and thinking about godliness. But like all day long, it seems like most of my day, it's like so mundane. And then it feels meaningless almost, like too robotic, too again, and we can get lost in it. But Hashem is saying, I'm going to spend a big chunk of this Megillah, and I'm going to go into these nitty-gritty details to say, no, they're important. And even though, you might not be able to fathom that these little parts of our lives, and especially those nitty-gritty parts of our days, seem like so futile, that Hashem has has fashioned the wondrous universe with all those details for a reason, and it's something, and it's not nothing. And we have to really try our best not to feel that these things are a waste of time. Because if we have those kinds of thoughts, we'll be a little moody and grouchy. I was just sitting with a client yesterday, and again and again I hear it from one of the spouse or the other. They can't take the complaining. So she has to do this, and so he has to do that, and complaining. Like, the mood is so heavy all day long, even though she might not be depressed, but it's enough already. They can't hear it anymore. So if we can be aware of that it could rub our children the wrong way, it could rub our spouses the wrong way, then we'll make a better effort to try to hide it. And in the midst of it, try our best to see and steer ourselves away from that kind of mentality. That it is important, the little things, the repetitive things, the seemingly not so spiritual, moments of our day. So really, the days of Achashverosh could be understood as hinting to the disclosure of the divine, like that there is light and there is revelation even in these seemingly mundane activities. And then we're going to talk about Esther. And Esther, we see when she approaches this king of all kings, she says, if you look at, she wants nothing. She doesn't want the makeup. She doesn't want the fancy schmancy. Not because she just doesn't want to be chosen. I'm sure that was one of the main reasons. Let me look ugly. I don't want, get me out of here, But there's something very deep to her. Remember, her being the representative of the divine soul. The divine soul wants nothing. How many times a day I get a text, my husband this, what should I do? It makes me so sad. He doesn't pay attention to me. And I text, want nothing. Big. Get it? Nothing. Only Hashem. Because you'll never be at peace. Because there's always something you didn't get, or some respect you should have had, or blah, blah, blah. There's always a list creeping around behind your shoulder. You thought you've got it all together, and all of a sudden something comes from behind you to take away your mood and your joy of whatever you do have. So her requesting nothing is our direction that we should follow. And it says here, what happens when we do that? Esther and her whole ascent to the palace represents the soul's ascent to Hashem. Now, generally speaking, we know, remember last week's class, the whole time we're like, we can't do it ourselves. Hashem, please help me. It's only you that will make me be a better me. It's only you that's going to help me refine my sadness, my this, my that. So we need Hashem. We need, but we need angels to bring us to Hashem, right? Our words that we say in prayer are taken by the angels, and then it's lifted up to Hashem. And then we get lifted up. So we have like this help. And it comes from the Pasuk in Tehillim, the angel of Hashem encamps around those that fear him and delivers them. But if they haven't reached that level on their own of love of Hashem and Yirat Hashem, and with their own Ratzon, when their time comes to ascend, like in the beginning of the day, the soul realizes, I can't without angels. I can't. I need help. I can't do it on my own. I don't have enough power. My power is simply insufficient to pull me closer to Hashem. But when a person relinquishes, negates wanting, and says, I want nothing, then they can come close to Hashem without angels. So we don't have to wait. Many times I've studied how our prayers first go to, some say to Tzemach Tzedek Kol Chabad in Yerushalayim, and then it goes to the Kotel, and then there's like 500 stations between stations and abodes, and then with the angels, whoop, finally. But we could not have to take that route. It kind of sounds like we have to dehumanize ourselves a bit. It's a human nature. I need it. It hurts. It's all the above and more. But if Hashem says we're capable of a little bit, let's say, 2% of the day, and then maybe another day, 3% of the day, just have moments of trying to want nothing. Sit there, see the cake. No, I don't want that cake. No. And in whatever little way you can, that's easy for you. And then in another day, try to say, I want nothing regarding even help from your children. And say, you know what? I don't want it. I'd like them to do it because it's the right thing to do. I'd like to be able to, without an emotional tie to it, help me. Hello? I want to be able to just request it with no strings attached that it'll hurt me if they don't or if they'll whatever, and not want it. Whatever way. Find in your own life to want more and more of the day, you'll increase and increase. And this will help you not need angels to get you to be closer to Hashem. When we do this and we surrender ourselves to Hashem, we make ourselves into the greatest possible receptacle for His light and His blessing by removing the obstacle of the ego. Because it is not the soul that wants. The soul only wants Hashem. It's the ego that wants. And then, because when you look in the Megillah, right after it says that she wants nothing, who does the king find favor in the eyes of? Esther, because she wants nothing. So we too can find favor in the eyes of Hashem the more and more that we want nothing. Now, the other day was Hayom Yom, and I copied it here. Now I don't have to bring 10 books. I used to have 10 books. Sometimes we just copy. It makes it so easy. Thank you, Hashem, for technology. So it says here, when you plow a field, and I can imagine in a very dry place, I've seen it, where the cracks look like, the cracks on people's feet, on the edge of their heels, how the cracks are so deep, and it's all cracked up, and you just throw seeds on top of it. And it does rain. Will the seed take hold? No. What does the land have to do? It has to be plowed by someone. Again and again, breaking the hard parts all over, make it a little moist, get it ready, put the seeds in. Now when it rains, there will be a beautiful production, and the cultivation will take place. So if, let's say, there's early rains or late rains, it won't make such a big deal because it's ready to go. So the Rebbe Rayat, and this was Hayom Yom of the 2nd of Adar, and he says that, when we cultivate a special bond with the Rebbe, with the wise of the generation, with a great sage, with the Torah teachings, it starts to cultivate our being. And so then when blessings from Hashem come, it won't be washed away. It really will be, there will be a place by which it will be able to be fertile and then grow and become, a reality. So this analogy that we, as the Jewish people, make ourselves a vessel so that God's blessings can, really take hold and then really sprout and blossom. So we continue, and we see that Esther knew that she didn't want the coarseness of materialism to impede her land and to impede the blessings of wanting to find favor in Hashem's eyes. And there's many different explanations about the title Esther of Megillat Esther, because, we've had a whole class on that also. It's already recorded. I'll just say one sentence about it, and then we're going to discuss something else that is here. And that is in regarding to, it doesn't so much make sense that it's only Esther that's in this title of the Megillah. Because it really was, in essence, Mordechai directing her and telling her, hello, if you don't meet up with the king and beg for the Jewish people. And she almost didn't want to do it, but then she conceded because he said, it's going to come, it's going to happen, And this is why you were chosen. What do you think? You came to this palace to be a queen? It's for sure, you're here. There's no other way. This is it. So it really was to his credit. And in the explanation, it mentions that first of all, when Esther finally did concede, she ended up surpassing Mordechai. Because Esther was saying, okay then fast for me 3 days. And Mordechai said, wait a minute, but in a couple of days, is it going to be Passover? We can't fast on Passover if we fast these days. So Esther said, no. Hello? You know how there's a Shabbos, you have to break it so you have many Shabbases? This is more important. We won't be able to celebrate Passover if we don't get this salvation. And the only way we'll be able to get this salvation is we do something down here to arouse mercy from above. And so it was in her merit that she stood her ground. And she knew what was right, and she wasn't, not that Mordechai would bully her, but she didn't feel threatened to stand up for what was right. Kind of like Miriam with her parents. She was just a little girl, but she said to her father and mother, if you guys separate, you're worse than Pharaoh. Pharaoh is just diving the boys into the sea. You're also getting rid of the girls. Right. So, and she stood up. So here Esther is standing up. Also, at the end, when things were wonderful, Esther said, we need to canonize this. We need to make this into a Megillah. And she stood strong. And she basically convinced the Sanhedrin to canonize this biblical text, the Megillah. And she had Mesiras Nefesh. When she went to the king, and she could have easily, did it half-half. Every step of the way, once she was inspired by Mordechai, and Mordechai actually represents the Torah. So Esther represents the soul. We need the Mordechai to kind of inspire what's already within us. Because that's what Mordechai did. He inspired what already was in Esther, a powerhouse. And that's why the whole story represents our journey of trying to get close to Hashem. Now, a little meditation that I would like you to do when you're going to hear the word Haman is the Haman actually has the lettering of Ha, Mi, Shoresh, Nachash. The Hey represents Haman. Haman, Mi, Shoresh, the Mem, Nachash. He is from the source of the snake from way back. And so we have to look at our moment, and when we're celebrating that his name is erased, that we should realize that we don't want any part of Haman in us, and we want to erase it in our own life, see where that snake has sometimes taken a hold of us. And when Haman actually was so bothered that out of all the kingdom, everyone was bowing down to him, and Mordechai didn't, it was really deep, his source of frustration, because it was a Gilgul. Mordechai is the Gilgul of Yaakov. When he went to meet up with Esav, and he bowed a bit. In many ways we have studied that sometimes you have to do that to be able to make peace and to make shalom and, to inspire another person to do tshuva. But still, there's a little something that has to be rectified in a way that we now learn that Haman was so upset that he wouldn't bow down because he wanted to win again. He wanted to see Mordechai, who is the Gilgul of Yaakov, bow down. But Mordechai refused. And he refused, and he refused, and he refused. So we have to see in the story that there's so much layers to what goes on in a moment. Imagine, I'm sure it also was this too. Imagine everybody's looking and in a situation and judging unfavorably, how can she behave that way? It's unbelievable. It's so clear to everyone that it's inappropriate. But who knows if that's a tikkun, and God purposely made it that way so that a tikkun could be done. So it's really spiritual holy weapons against our Yetzer Hara, that when people do things to us and we think it wasn't called for after everything we've done for them and how much we can't believe, well, maybe it's a tikkun. We've talked about it a lot in this class. But imagine if every day a blinker, go tee, tikkun, 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 like a dance almost, and it's a rhythm, and it's coming to you, so you don't have an easy way to get entrapped and entangled in other people's behaviors, so that you can free yourself from the ego that gets hurt from that moment in time. There was a story, a woman came to me and told me this story, and I loved it. And there was a story of a king who he was like, one of those days he's parading around, and all of a sudden someone is throwing rocks at the king, and it hits the crown of the king, and the crown of the king falls. And it was so shocking, because right before everybody was saying, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" And they couldn't. It was like shocking. Everyone's looking. Finally, the guards, they caught. There were two boys from a window that threw the stones at the king, and all the advisors didn't know what to do. What should we do? What should we do? And they decided they have to do some severe penalty. And the mother started crying, and everyone's like all upset. Can't the king have mercy on these two children? So a very wise old man came up, and he said, look. It can't be. You have to understand. These children didn't mean to do it, because they were rooting. They were rooting all along. I heard them. Long live the king, with a smile, with such excitement. They're kids. They were playing with rocks. It wasn't intentional. It was by accident. So the advisors got together, and they decided to take the old man's plea, and they were freed, these children. And this is the mashal. The mashal is that we're constantly begging Hashem, help me be a better person. Please help me. I don't want this Haman, Yetzirah, this whatever. Please help me. I want to be the best that I can be for you. All day long, that's our desire. And then we have moments. And we're like, can't believe we just said it that way. Or, whoa, we're baffled. Like, how have we gotten to this point in our lives that we have been able to raise our voice or do whatever we did? But Hashem knows. The angels come up, and all our prayers and all our good deeds and our tzedakah here and our little smile there, and the angels collect them all. And they come up to Hashem. And Hashem, of course, realizes that. But He likes to hear it. He likes to see that we have our defendants, and He likes to hear that we love Him so much and that we try our hardest so much, and we get salvation. So we know also in our Purim Katan class that back to the time when the Jewish people were giving the half a shekel, Hashem knew in advance that there was going to be this Haman. He knew in advance that the Haman was going to try to bribe the king, and didn't really have to so much bribe, but he used his power, his influence, his wealth to get his way. So Hashem knew in advance, and He said, I'm going to ask the Jewish people to give a half a shekel now, so that will be a tikkun already, like a preemptive move on the Jewish people's part in partnership with me to make sure that they'll be scot-free, and that this will nullify any kind of decree that might be used with the coin. So I ask you, my dear soul sisters, times are tough. People right and left are suffering. We don't know what's around the corner. What can we do now? A little extra. I ask you again, what can we do now? A little extra, having in mind that this Hashem will treasure, will keep in like a safety net, deposit box. Everyone has these bank accounts and for the future and for insurance, and everyone wants to be well protected, right, in the future, especially these days. What can we do today? And put it in that kind of, safety box for the future, for our own future, for the Jewish people's future. My son is in Israel this year. And I honestly, I lived in Israel and I pray for Israel, and whenever I hear what's going on in Israel, but when he tells me firsthand, it's heart-wrenching to hear what's going on in Israel. And I'm like, I haven't heard that there was that much this week. Oh, yes, there was. And he tells me this, and he tells me that. He's in the heart of Yerushalayim. How many boys from America are in Israel, in the heart of Yerushalayim, and all over Israel? How many of our people are there? And we could think, what can we do for them? So another day will be another peaceful day, and another day will be another peaceful day. So I pray that we learn a lesson from each of the characters, the holy characters of the Megillah. I hear people who stand strong, and then sometimes when, other people don't approve of them standing strong for what they believe, it's not an easy position to be in. And we have to do it in our own household as well, but we have to do it with not wanting anything. Because when our ego is enmeshed in it, it comes out. And then it takes us 10 steps away from the holiness that we wanted to accomplish from doing that. Where can we move away from the modern Western philosophy of equal rights, I deserve? Where can we move away from I should have? Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to put up with it? Someone told me, that there was right, but we don't want anything.
I think you need to qualify that maybe by
right.
saying anything for ourselves. We can want for others.
We want for Hashem only. So even when we want for others, it's for Hashem. When we want for our well-being for our children, it's for Hashem. When we want for our well-being for our husband, it's for Hashem. Because in America, we all have rights. But in our life, we have to say happiness is right. Not, I have a right to be happy. I have a right. No, you don't. Really. Hashem decides. He's the ruler. He manages everything. And He wants you to have all the good in the world, but you shouldn't feel you have the right to be happy. It's right to be happy. There's a big difference. Huge big difference. So we have to investigate where is the Haman of modern Western society creeping in, even into our bedrooms. Even in places where you have to investigate what is behind my challenge here. Rabbi Ginsburg in The Mystery of Marriage and many other places in Chassidus teach us everything is an undeserved gift that we have already. enough. Whatever we have is an undeserved gift. And when you have that kind of attitude, then the smallest of things will be like $1 million, zillion dollar lottery ticket that you just won, because it's so out of nowhere, you didn't even expect it. There was a story of a man that he was an official rabbi in the town, but he would never get honor for this and not honor for that, and if he got invited to say the brachas in the wedding, it was like he was like one of the last, and if he was invited to sit at the head table, it was like at the end, and if everything was just like so disappointing that he didn't have the honor like he believed he should have. And Rav Zusha actually always was happy. And one day he went to Rav Zusha, because Rav Zusha at the time didn't have all the honor either, and said, "How can you be so, you're a great man, you're not?" And he said, "Tell me about the last experience you had." So he says, I was invited to this wedding, but I wasn't the official rabbi, I was the second official, I wasn't, then when they sat, all these things, and I was so upset that they didn't make me the official rabbi, I didn't come exactly on time. And when they saw I didn't come exactly on time, then they put me at the end of the seat, in the corner there, and I wasn't at the head table. And then, I was so upset, I left early. And so I ended up not doing all the other things. So Rav Zusha says, "Oh, really? Look how, this is when I was invited to that wedding too." And he said, when I got the invitation, I was like jumping up for joy. Me? They invited me? I couldn't believe it. I was I was shocked. I was so happy. Then when you came late and nobody was there, so then they gave me. I couldn't believe they gave me. I was so happy. Okay, I wasn't the main one, but I got chosen. I was so happy. And then when they thought that you weren't there, so they put your middle head, position in the table. They gave it to me. I was so happy. I didn't expect not to be even invited to the wedding, not to even be called up, not to even sit at the head table. I couldn't believe. So then Rav Zusha turned over to the man and he said, you see, when you don't expect anything, then you get so happy. Because everything you don't expect. And so the smallest of things make you on fire. Boo, humming. No more humming. Who? Me, Shoresh Nahash. The ego, I want, I deserve. I have a right to have this person bow down to me. How dare that one person not bow down to me? That's what it's all about. Getting rid of this, and Techa B'Miyad Mamish, we should just celebrate the ultimate feast and have only miracles in our lives and hear all the good news that the more we want nothing, the more things keep pouring into our life. Please God. Okay. So we have time for a meditation. Can you see yourself now reading the Megillah and now seeing a little different story? And hopefully you'll maybe listen to this again, take notes, and really, I know it's going to make my Megillah reading that much more meaningful again this year. Question, can we? Question. Yeah. I hope I can answer.
So, if you don't want anything, though, then you won't necessarily change anything that perhaps should be changed. I know I'm using the word should,
right.
But they're having
excellent question. I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
Very good. Of course we want everything for Hashem's sake. And of course we don't go, I want nothing, and be a zombie and don't do anything in our life. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Intrinsically, we want it all for the sake of a holy purpose, that everything should go smoothly like a perfect puzzle, and match up to everything that Hashem wants for us. But it's not coming from a place of yeshus, of ego, of me wants. Me, oh, it's me. No. It's for Hashem. And that will be your fire, and that will be your drive to do things delicately, smartly, without anger, without sadness, without bitterness, with you just being a vessel walking on its way to do the mission for Hashem. It's so different.
So it's for a holy purpose as opposed to, it's hard for me to think about that it's for Hashem per se, because Hashem doesn't need anything, right? But if I think that whatever I want, quote unquote, should be for a holy purpose,
yes,
that I can go with. Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. You might have saved me from a lawsuit. God forbid. You got to be careful sometimes. Oh, wow. So, Esther. Let's try to think of Esther. We are Esther. We are the soul. Let's see a vision of ourselves dressed up like Queen Esther, wanting nothing. Simple, angelic, so holy. And just take a deep breath, and with every breath you take, help you, please God, get to this destination like almost like on the ways, the shorter, but the real shorter way, not the shorter than not getting there. And it all comes from just trying to emulate Queen Esther. See the royal garments that others are choosing for you to wear. See yourself knowing you have to be in this palace, this place called Achashverosh palace, the world. It's not like you want to be here, really. And then see yourself gracefully maneuvering around, doing what you need to do to make the day progress in a very beautiful, holy way, with grace, with awe. See things right and left that other people have, but you're okay. It's like Hashem is deciding what's going to be in my lot. Nothing bothering you. Totally at peace. And every breath you take, you just feel your neshama. And you want to plan to have Queen Esther-like moments throughout the day, wanting nothing. And do it all, being honorable, giving respect, humbly speaking, but strongly standing firmly and going forward. And all of a sudden, the honor comes to you. And out of nowhere, the respect is starting to trickle in. And all of a sudden, things are changing around you. You held strong. Your royalty and dignity was shining through. My dear soul sister. And you see yourself so close to Hashem. A pure vessel to receive and receive and receive and receive. Take a moment and beg Hashem for His sake, please help me. Help me, Hashem, to be the messenger for you. Help me say things in the right way so that the other one will, the one on the other end receiving my input, my guidance, they'll be able to really receive it. And then, all of us, let's say Amen to each and every one of our prayers. Hashem knows we try so hard. One day at a time. We're getting there. So much more to learn, so much more to learn day by day. Yisrat Hashem, and see yourself dancing with joy because it's finally really happening. The blessings are really coming and you're seeing all the fruits of your labor. Have a beautiful, amazing Chag Purim. Bye-bye. Thank you, Torah Anytime. Really, amazing. Thank you. All of you out there for listening. Bye-bye.